The year is 2013. The Vancouver Canucks took a big risk in trading potential elite goaltender Cory Schneider for the 9th selection in the first round. This trade was met with a lot of criticism. However, the Vancouver Canucks were able to draft the workhorse out of London, Bo Horvat, and looking back at it today, there's no question that people would rather have Bo Horvat over Cory Schneider. After missing the playoffs in the 2014 season, the Vancouver Canucks saw a return to the playoffs in the 2015 season, but were shut down by who else but Michael Ferland in the Calgary Flames in 6 games.
Saw who he had on his back. He started throwing. Boy, that's an angry looking man.
Even though we made the playoffs, which was great, it wasn't so great because the 2015 draft was a very stacked draft, and because we made the playoffs, we fell all the way down to the 23rd pick. However, Jim Benning hit an absolute home run by selecting Brock Boeser with the 23rd overall pick in the 2015 draft. April 5th was a very emotional game for all Vancouver Canucks fans, as we saw Henrik and Daniel Sedins play their last game in Vancouver. However, this night was met with something way more significant. It was finally the time for the Vancouver Canucks to give the responsibilities to guys like Bo Horvat, like Brock Boeser, and like potential Swedish superstar Elias Petersson.
The number 5 selection in the 2017 NHL draft belongs to the Vancouver Canucks.
The Vancouver Canucks were officially known to have horrible draft lottery luck. The Vancouver Canucks this year were second last in the league and fell all the way down to the 5th spot. But it's not about where you pick, it is about who you pick. Because with the 5th overall pick, Jim Benning and the Vancouver Canucks were able to draft Elias Petersson, the potential superstar, the now Calder winner, and who is now being given the title as the best player from the 2017 draft. And Pettersson's fantastic rookie season is one of the main reasons that Vancouver's management is willing to make a push towards the playoffs that we haven't seen in 4-5 years. After drafting Bo Horvat, Brock Boeser, and budding superstar Elias Petersson, it was now time for the Vancouver Canucks to throw their hat in the ring and draft a potential top 2 defenseman. And on June 22nd, the Vancouver Canucks did just that. 2 off-the-board centermen get taken, and Quin Hughes falls all the way to number 7 into Jim Benning in the Vancouver Canucks' hands. The Vancouver Canucks have been making a big commitment to being a playoff team. Of course, starting with trading a first-round pick for JT Miller during the second part of the draft, signing defensemen Tyler Myers and Jordie Benn, and of course now signing Michael Ferland. With the emergence of now Brock Boeser, Elias Petersson, Bo Horvat, Quin Hughes, and obviously the acquisition of Tyler Myers, JT Miller, Michael Ferland, the Vancouver Canucks are really rounding out their roster and putting in a lot of scoring depth and defensive depth. Last season, the Vancouver Canucks ended the season 35, 36, and 11. And for a team that saw non-stop injuries of not only bottom 6 forwards, but top 6 forwards in Elias Petersson and Brock Boeser, the Vancouver Canucks went at one point on a 10-game losing streak. Now, of course, there's no way going back and fixing that. But with the acquisition of all these new pieces and all the growth that's happening within our young core, the Vancouver Canucks are a team that is going to be much better than last year. And for a young Vancouver Canucks team that was dabbling in the playoffs at some points of last season, it is definitely not out of the question that the Vancouver Canucks will be competing for a wildcard spot. Not to mention, of course, the Vancouver Canucks obviously acquired JT Miller, Tyler Myers, Jordie Benn, and now Michael Ferland, which really helps our depth. One of the main concerns of the Vancouver Canucks, well, first of all, is we were severely lacking winger depth. We had no support for guys like Bo Horvat, for guys like Elias Petersson. So acquiring wingers like Michael Ferland and now JT Miller is really going to help. I've said this before and I want to say it because I think it's a really important piece that really answers this whole question, is the Vancouver Canucks really lacked, obviously, scoring depth and winger depth. And because of that, Elias Petersson and Brock Boeser, of course, were on the first line and were heavily targeted by the opposition. The opposing teams would use all their shutdown guys and completely target Elias Petersson and Brock Boeser. And because Bo Horvat and the Vancouver Canucks bottom 6 did not have good scoring depth, the Vancouver Canucks were just not able to convert and score goals. And even with every team specifically targeting Elias Petersson, he was still able to put out 28 goals, 66 points in 71 games as a rookie, which is just great numbers. And especially with acquiring more depth, more scoring in JT Miller and Michael Ferland, expect Elias Pettersson's production just to start going upwards. A lot of teams are being stuck within this rebuild mindset. The Vancouver Canucks heading into the 2019-2020 season have now been out of the playoffs for 5 years. Now, a traditional rebuild usually takes around 5 years. In the modern day NHL, we're seeing teams make a quick retool after 1 or 2 years to make it back to the playoffs. But for the Vancouver Canucks' sake, 5 years was the number. And it is now to stop being afraid and to make the push towards the playoffs. The Vancouver Canucks are still missing a couple pieces. They're still missing a lot of growth to be taking place, but do not count the Vancouver Canucks out of the playoffs for next season. With the emergence of Quin Hughes last season and obviously Elias Petersson, the Vancouver Canucks really do have a lot of pieces to start creating a team that can go deep into the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying next year is going to be the year, but the next 3, 4, 5 years, expect the Vancouver Canucks to have tremendous growth and to be a Stanley Cup contender. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about the Vancouver Canucks down below. Hope you enjoyed this different type of video. Spent a while making it, so I hope you guys appreciate it. Anyways, guys, see you guys later.